For great ideas and practical tools you can start using tomorrow to grow your business and separate you from the competition, you've come to the right place. If you're into B2B marketing and sales, then welcome to the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast. With over 60 and counting total years in the trenches of businesses small and large, they have a plethora of knowledge and experience that generate you more leads, capture more clients, ring up more sales. Well, doggone it, just make you more money. How about that? Always thought-provoking, yet dubiously entertaining. Please welcome to their respective microphones across 3 time zones, your co-ringmasters, the Dave Loomis, and not the rock star, Steve Miller.
Okay, so who's going to start?
I can. How about that? Hello, everyone. This is not Steve Miller's voice. This is the voice of the Dave Loomis.
I am the voice.
Oh, now see, that's Steve Miller trying to be like Dave Loomis. And
no, that was Michelle.
Stick with the rock.
Those of you who can't see
rock
her.
star.
Welcome
Hi, I'm
to
Steve Miller.
MJ,
you.
Spider-Man's girlfriend.
You've all landed on the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast, and we thank you for listening. This week we have myself, Dave Loomis, also known as the Dave Loomis and voice. We have Steve Miller, not the rock star. He's also known as Kelly's dad, marketing gunslinger, and ROI guy. And we have Michelle Jones, a.k.a. MJ.
MJ.
How is everybody today?
Yeah, how is everybody doing? I'm doing fine. I was just talking with you, about my. I just had a new deck put in my house.
Yeah,
and
home improvement projects.
You remember, and I failed to follow the Beatles' philosophy of making money.
I thought it was just let it be.
No, not let it be. No, my goodness, no. They had a philosophy. It was that what they would do would be like for example, like George might go to, John and Paul, and he would say, I'd like to put a swimming pool in my backyard.
Right. Okay, let's write a song.
That's right. Let's write a song that will pay for your swimming pool.
I like it. I like it a lot.
So they termed it, let's write a swimming pool. And so then they would, let's write a new car, or let's write something like that. And, which I think, that is the way to be able to do this, is that we just go, I'd like to get something new. And, and I should have done that before I put this deck in because I have no money now because.
Yeah. Well, the B2B listeners are all dealing with this right now because in their businesses, they have supply chain shortages and they have incredible inflation that's hitting them and then is going to be hitting their customers, and we're all dealing with it. It trickles down to us, though.
So before we get going into the topic of the day, MJ, what anything cool with you?
Anything cool with me? Gosh, I don't know that I can top any of my fun facts from last week. No, just enjoying the summer. I can't believe we're already almost into July. That's what blows my mind.
That's right, Friday, July.
Already July.
Yeah.
And it's my birthday.
July weekend.
Wait.
Friday is my birthday.
Oh.
Friday is your birthday?
July 1st.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. The fiscal new year.
This is the birthday. It's the birthday episode, you guys.
This is the birthday episode. Yes, that's right. So I'm going to, and because of that, excellent. I'm going to do most of the talking actually, because last time, I said that I would share with you my formula for measuring our marketing ROI, on how to measure marketing ROI. We kind of left it as a cliffhanger so that people would want to come back. Michelle's phone just said, no, I don't want to come back. So I'm leaving. And so she's you can, and Michelle, if it's easier for you.
Am I back?
This is a podcast.
We can hear you.
So people don't have to see you. So,
okay. I'm sorry.
You can do it.
We're,
okay.
We're fine. Fine.
It's
just
okay.
keep
Good.
Audio on.
So
Okay.
now let me make a comment about measuring marketing ROI first, and that is that in my experience, and even today, when you get into conversations with most marketers, most of them are unable to actually prove that their marketing strategies or campaigns or anything like it, they're unable to prove that they're actually making money for the company. Would you agree with that, you guys?
Oh yeah,
For sure.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So, and because of that, over the years of that situation, because you get marketing and sales kind of banging heads together, because sales is sales. They're the ones who are bringing in the dough, and marketing tends to be kind of sitting out there and they're doing all this stuff. And what they've come up with is so many what I consider to be just funny metrics to try to prove their value to the company. And unfortunately, metrics like awareness, of a brand, or views on a page or something like that. Those are really just funny metrics. They don't really connect the dots. And so, several years ago, I put together this kind of formula that I often use when I'm working with my clients, because in my opinion, marketing needs to be as measurable as sales. I mean that marketing is ultimately in its role in a company, it's ultimately a major part of generating those sales.
Yeah, it's also a major part of job security for people with the CMO title, because CMOs come in, their expectations are high. Then somebody sees how much they cost a couple of years later and say, it was a great experiment, but I don't see what they're doing.
Yeah, and they really don't.
My favorite too.
Go ahead.
I was going to say my favorite too is when CMOs try to come in and you change everything too fast, and they haven't looked into the full story as to why things are the way they are. Change is good, but yeah, it's tough to come in and just recklessly change everything, because then if you make too many changes too fast without understanding the company and the culture and the industries, yeah, you're going to be sitting there with a big negative over your head.
Well, and most of that negative and most of the perception of the marketing department is gut feel.
Yep.
And I hate gut feel. I like proof. I like proof that something works.
Yes.
And I've always had this attitude that at some point marketing has to prove that it works. And so I developed this I'm going to take you guys through this fairly quickly so that you guys can comment, shoot it down if you want, fight with me, argue with me, all that sort of stuff. But I was originally going to do a telestrator to do all of this stuff, but I've been having computer problems and I wasn't able to get that fixed up in time. So I just grabbed a snippet of a presentation that I did about this, and I just grabbed a bunch of the visuals from that, and so I'm going to share my screen, okay, and show you what I am talking about.
Right, and
okay.
Of course, your audio for those who are listening will be
I will
representative of those.
Yeah, I will talk you through it as best as I can, but we would certainly also suggest that, and part of this is, I'm going to show a formula that I've got, and people can certainly contact me, get copies of this stuff. That's no big deal. Or we will post somewhere where this is going to be. But it for me, it starts with this. I have a simple phrase, and that is that the only way a marketing tool can be measured is if it's meaningfully measurable in the first place. Okay? If you have not established a way to measure something, then if you haven't done that up front, then how do you possibly expect to do it at the back end? Okay, so you have to have something that is measurable. Now, what needs to happen? Well, what needs to happen is that I have a formula, and I've got three parts of this that I want to share today that most companies don't do, and most marketers don't do, and they don't know. And two of them are questions, and almost everybody that I ever ask these questions to cannot answer these questions, and they are critical to understanding your marketing, the value of your marketing. All right. Now, what I'm showing right now is the formula. I'll talk that through here a little bit more in just a second. But the number one thing that I want to say is that metrics. See, in order for something to be measurable, there has to be metrics. Now, that means in my book that you need to practice what is known as direct response marketing, and that is a type of marketing where every single step of the way there is a measurable, there is a response, there is a call to action that you are looking for. Now, one of the first things I want to make sure that everybody understands is the and I'm not sure what the terminology is for this, but okay, prospects and leads are not the same thing. They are two different types of people. Okay, we have prospects, and we've often referred to how I teach that we are hunting moose in the forest, right? So we're hunting moose. Well, moose is a definition of the prospect that we're looking for. A moose is a very, very clear definition. So when you go to a forest and you find a whole bunch of moose, well, all those moose are now prospects because they fit the profile of the target market. Okay. Then the next step is a lead. And a lead is a prospect who has shown interest in having a conversation with you.
Right. So the moose, you get the moose's attention, they turn their head, and they saunter on over. And if moose could talk, they might say, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, tell me more.
Also, I have no idea what the ideal moose looks like to attract, but maybe you don't want a baby moose. You've identified that it's not a baby moose, or it's not an elderly moose. It's the right age, or it's the right size.
You see, there is no one definition of that. Okay, you have to define who your moose is. What industry are they in? What size company do they have? Maybe how many employees do they have? What industries do they work with? Okay, you're doing all of that stuff to define the perfect moose, to define that, and it's not all the animals in the forest. And then when you want to attract them to you, you have to come up with some kind of moose bait. All right, and it's not deer bait, it's not rabbit bait, it's not it's moose bait. Okay, so these are the things you're doing up front. You have to know who your target market is, and then what you're going to do is that in every step of the way, you are going to offer that target market. If the person fits the profile of the moose, and you offer moose bait, well, if by some chance you are the person who is seeing your message, who is seeing your communication, if that person is a wolf, okay, they have no interest in moose bait. So you want to make sure that you're only attracting the people to you that fit your profile. So you go out and you find those people, you find where they are, you find out where they hang out, you find out where, what they read, you find out the meetings they go to, whether it's trade shows or whether it's online, whether it's, in LinkedIn or whatever. And then you are going there and then you are offering something to them that is some type of moose bait that they can get from you. And you are offering some type of lead magnet in the beginning. Right, mm-hmm. That they have an interest in. Yep. And when they have an interest in your lead magnet, they are essentially giving you permission to continue the conversation.
Right. So they've gone from a prospect to a lead.
They're now a lead.
Got it.
Now, so So that's the beginning, is that everything has to have a call to action every step of the way, direct response marketing. Okay. The second question that I ask companies is, what is your closing rate? What is your closing percentage? And essentially what I mean by that is I say, hey, look, if I hand you 10 moose, how many of them will ultimately become customers of yours? Almost nobody knows that answer. Okay.
That's all gut feel initially.
I know. But the fact of the matter is that if I find out in my mind, if I'm able to find out that, okay, if for every 10 moose I get in front of, I'm going to close 2 of them. Well, then, how do you double your results?
Double your leads.
That's right. You see 20 moose.
Yep.
That's how you double your results. You don't double your results by thinking that you're going to change your closing rate to 40%. That's much harder than it is to go find, more moose. All right. Go find more moose.
Exactly.
But most companies do not know the answer to that question. Okay.
Okay.
And so now here I'm showing the formula here now. So let's start out here at the top and go through that spot I had just now. So at the top, I start with, okay, what is the total number of prospects that I have? So let's say, for example, you have a mailing list or an email list, and your email list is, and I'll just say it's 100. You have 100 names on your email list, and you have defined these as being your moose. All right. So now the question is, well, if you can find 100 moose, what percentage of them do you think you'll be able to get to raise their hands? And a lot of that has to do with your ability to offer them something that they want. All right. Offer them a lead magnet that they think is important to them. All right. And so often I go on to homepages of companies, and like that I was talking about a new client that I was working with last week, and they fall into that trap where you go to a homepage, and in particular in the B2B world, and on the homepage, sorry, that's telling me my cat is ready to come in, you go to their homepage, and what is the common call to action on a B2B website? Can you guys know what it is?
It's either learn more or contact us.
Request a quote.
Yeah.
Or contact us. That is their call to action. What do you think the rate the rate of contacts is on that? I mean, do you think the percentage is very high? The answer is no.
No.
Right?
Well, because only sales qualified leads would be interested in that, and we're still back at the general lead phase.
At the moment that the most people are there, they're not in that position, right? Like you say, Michelle, those are essentially sales ready leads. Who come to the website and they go contact it. Well, they're almost ready to buy if they're going to contact you that way. All right, but the vast majority don't. So so I keep teaching my clients right out of the box. You're going to have you should have landing pages for things, and that's another discussion to have. I want to try to keep this as tight to this as possible. But essentially, the homepage should also be a type of landing page, so that when somebody comes to the homepage, you have something that you're offering them that they want. That people are coming to your website, and there might be a common problem, there might be a common situation, a common challenge that they have, and so you have a white paper, or you have a free webinar or something like that, and they sign up for that because that is something that's moose bait that they want to get. All right, so that makes them a qualified lead. So at the top, I say, like, if you send an email blast out to 100 people who fit your profile, well then, and you offer some type of lead magnet to them, what is the percentage of qualified leads that would come out of that? And let's say it, and I'm going to give somebody a big one here. I'll say 50% of them will respond. Probably not, but we'll say that. So out of the 100, that means they would get 50 qualified leads. And that now you come to that question. What is your closing rate? Well, if I have 50 qualified leads, my closing rate, well, gee, that means out of every 10 that I get, well, maybe I'll close 2 of them, 20%, right? So so 20% of 50 is what? 10. And that would be the total number of customers that I would expect to get, from 100 prospects. All right.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it's very
the
simple.
math.
All right.
It's the math.
And then the next question is, what's the lifetime value of a customer? Because in reality, that's the question we need to be asking.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant way of looking at this, and I don't think enough companies do that, and especially senior managers don't give enough credit to marketing. They think, oh, well, you made one sale, so that's what we're going to use for the ROI. But what if your customers stick around? Traditionally, once they do buy from you, what if they're sticking around for 10 years and they're buying something every year? I mean, it could be 10 times what that initial purchase is, or many, many more times that.
And that needs to be taken into consideration as far as how much money you're making off of a customer. Mm-hmm. It's not based on the initial sale. It's based on keeping.
And this is such a good example of how marketing can't be done in a silo either. Marketing can't come up with all these numbers ourselves if accounting and sales aren't tracking accurately. So this is definitely an example of where marketing is cross-functional. And if one of these numbers is wrong, that can also influence marketing direction.
Well, yeah, and I'll even get to that. I'll answer that a little bit here more in a second. Okay, why is this not moving forward here?
I stole your thunder.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so back to the formula. All right. So now we had gotten down to, we started with 100 prospects, 50% qualified leads, 50 qualified leads, closing rate of 20% gives us 10. All right. So now, and if the average lifetime value is, I don't know, let's say if they buy, spend $5,000 a year with you for 5 years, it's $25,000. So now the long-term value of those 10 customers is $250,000. Now I'm not going to worry about the rest of the stuff in this formula, but this is the gist of the formula, is that, and the only way we can know this, and the only way that we can measure this, starts with everything that is done in the marketing strategy, all of the tactics, the communications, the engagements, everything like that. Everything has to be measurable, so you can track people as they go through the system. All right. And as you go through the system and they fall into the definition of a qualified lead, then you can project, you can more accurately do a sales projection for your company by using this formula, by saying that, okay, this, if we are able to go out and find 500 qualified prospects, well, then from that 500, we should be able to say, okay, based on the numbers that we have determined, we know that we will have X number of leads. We will then turn that into X number of customers, and then we will turn them into X number of long-term customers, right? And then you're able to more accurately project out the revenues. And now you're connecting marketing with sales. And you're making them, follow all the steps. So, and it's what I kind of call I call it like the next step. Marketing and sales is that regardless of whether if you start at a trade show, for example, And that's the tool that you're going to use. Well, how many people do you think you can talk to at the trade show? What percentage of them will become qualified leads? Well, then what percentage of them will become sales? Or if you do a webinar, a free webinar, and you're able to attract X number of people to the webinar through the direct response method, right? That you attract 500 people to the webinar, you're able to then project the numbers out from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So did I hear you say that you weren't going to go through the rest of your formula?
Well, I can't. I mean, I can tell you what the rest of the formula is, but this is really to me, this is the most important part, because if we don't get to, we have to get through these first steps before we get to the rest. Now what, what Dave is referring to, for those of you that are listening, is that, I have we get there to where it's a total lifetime value, total lifetime dollars. All right. And then the next question that I have is, all right, what is your profit percentage? What is your profit margin?
Right. So let's say it's 20%.
Yeah.
And so if you had your 250,000 that you talked about before, 20% of that would be 50,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So 50,000 is your
go ahead and walk through the rest of the
profit margin. Right. Dave. Okay. So then you've got you got 50,000, and then you've got your expenses. So what did it cost you to send out that e-blast? And this is crazy that it would cost $25,000, but let's just say it was a really expensive list. And it was 25 grand, right? So you spent 25 grand out of the 50. Mm-hmm. So you have 25 left. And so then to get the ROI, you're basically taking that 25
you could divide it by any of the other stuff.
ROI, you could do 25 divided by 50, and you get 50% is your ROI percent.
Right. And I do this with my clients. I mean, sometimes we'll do it with when we're planning the year. Okay, when we're if we're looking ahead and we're saying, okay, through these various tools that we have, how many prospects will we be able to reach? And then we start to project, and then we're able to project out, and then an entire the whole year's sales.
Yeah.
Rather than the stupid normal way when people sit down and they say, okay, let's start projecting out for next year, and they're just wild ass guesses.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that I think that this allows us to do the way you've set this up, especially this average lifetime value, is that it can, if you do it right, it can justify a higher marketing investment because there's a higher payoff. What if you didn't do that? Remember, it was 50,000 per customer or whatever times 5 or something, and we got the 250 before. But what if it was 50,000? And you just counted that one sale, not the sale every year for 5 years. Guess what? It blows up the math, and you wouldn't be able to justify spending that crazy 25,000 on the e-blast,
right?
Because your 20% margin for 50,000 is you'd make 10,000, and you spent 25,000 to make 10. And so you'd never do it. But in this scenario, you've really spent your 25, and you're going to get that 50 over. You're going to get a lot more over the 5 years. So it's worth it. We have to prove ourselves to others and management and everybody on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, and there are so many. Obviously, as far as social media goes, for me, I don't know about you guys. LinkedIn is the main business social media that I hang out in.
Sure.
And I see these agencies who come and they're making posts, and they're doing little broadcasts and videos and things like that. And they talk about the importance of awareness. And awareness does not go into this formula. And if it can't go into this formula, they can't prove value.
Right. I mean, honestly, the only time that I have seen awareness have what would be considered value is if it's a public company, like a really, really big public company and a really big brand, and that brand changes hands and it's sold. So if Coke sold to Pepsi, or vice versa, there would actually be a value on their income statement,
right?
For that goodwill. Intangible, for the goodwill, exactly. And that's where the lawyers and everybody else gets together, and the investment bankers, and they say, well, look, here's the proof, here's the awareness number. And no one has better awareness than we do, therefore, give us more for this.
But like you said, that is, for the most part, really big company.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not. You try and get goodwill if you're a small or medium-sized company when you're selling to somebody. No, they want EBITDA, and they'll give you a multiple that whatever they believe. But no, there ain't no goodwill. Awareness is nice, but it doesn't pay the bills.
It doesn't pay the bills. That's exactly right. And they'll say, well, I got a phone call from somebody who heard me do this, 2 years ago, and that proves the value. That's called serendipity. I don't want to risk the future of my business, on hope.
Right. Exactly.
Now, what do you think, MJ? What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
Give me your hard truth here.
I was just thinking about business segments where there may be more than one customer, like there's multiple influencers into a sale, and putting awareness onto a chart like this isn't really valuable. However, awareness, it's not necessarily the identification of awareness. It's once you've actually heard of it, making sure that you have all the right tools in place to validate your company. But that's not really, that's awareness as I was thinking about it. That doesn't really go into this mix or this formula. But that's one area where I could see awareness being really beneficial in the B2B sector.
I have a philosophy that awareness without persuasion is malpractice. See, and persuasion is where I talk about the direct response. When if we're not asking people to take a step, all right, if we're not asking them to do that, then it's just all hope.
Yeah, and you've only got one chance to make a good first impression, right? So, got to make sure you've got your ducks in a row.
So I'm going to throw a challenge your way, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Because there's a lot of listeners out there right now that are thinking about this, and they're trying to think, okay, I got to measure stuff. And their boss just told them, well, we need more video, because they read an article that, video is one of the most consumed content, sort of formats out there right now, and it continues to grow. And he says, we need a video on our homepage of the founder of the company saying what the great culture and the great, quality we have and all that kind of thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to, and I told my boss, I said, well, okay, it's going to cost $50,000 for a really good video, really, really good video. Right. The one that, like the quality that you want. Okay. And then you tell your boss, but we have to gate the video. Somebody's going to have to put in their information in order to watch the video. And he says, no. Nope. It can't be that. It's got to be there. So all we're really going to be able to do is track views, but then we won't know if the person that viewed it really filled out a form somewhere else. So should we make that investment in the video or shouldn't we? And how do we track that ROI?
The way that I would approach it is I would approach it that, there are ways to use ungated information to get to gated information. All right. So you could use a video from the chairman, the founder, or whoever, somebody like that, and he's talking about, and he or she is going to be talking about stuff like, we were founded based on these values, on these principles, and blah, 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 right? And we solved these problems and these challenges. Okay. So, at the end, whether the CEO says it or not, you might even just have, copy that comes across and says, hey, which challenges do you have that he is talking about? Click on the link below, go to the page that has, and it's going to ask you which challenge do you have, and we have a white paper for each one of these challenges that you can get.
Right. You, in one of your charts, you used the word stepping stones. I don't know if you said it precisely like that, but I think what you're suggesting is that even if a tactic or content or something that you're going to have to spend some money on is not in and of itself the lead magnet that's going to capture someone's information, it should lead to that. It should be a stepping stone to that. And, if we just make a video the way we normally make a video, well, then we'll the guy will finish or the gal will finish and say, thanks for listening. This is great. Thank you for learning about our company.
Yeah,
That's
aren't we wonderful?
Aren't we wonderful? We're incredible. But instead of that, there's something very explicit and intentional, and that is a suggestion.
We'd love to share
step.
with you the top 3 questions, that our customers have asked, or we would love to, so, like you say, stepping stones. But you're still having some type of, you're asking for some kind of action.
Right, exactly. Even
other than the bland thing of, just give us a call. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah. How about, we're cutting costs. So, those business cards that you used to hand out at trade shows. Well, I can't get an ROI on those because you just hand them out and we never know what happens to them. Put a QR code on the back.
That's right. That is exactly right.
Or a special phone number that links to your phone number, and then you can see how many people called the number.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But you're giving them a reason that is not. It's not your reason to go to the next step. See, because to say this is when we say to people, contact us, request a quote. That's all about us. That's what we want you to do. No, we want them. We want to say to them, we've got something for you.
So you mean it's not like, I've never met you before. This is the first time you've heard from me. But I'm going to act like I'm your best pal, and I'm actually going to ask you to click on this scheduling Calendly link.
That's right.
So that I can get time on your calendar tomorrow or even today.
Yes.
To sell you something that I haven't really even told you about yet. And you don't know me. Yeah. Not that. Something that helps the consumer, the viewer,
and
not about us, about
something
them.
tangible.
Yes, something of value. When I have posted my video with this formula in it, I will have in there a link to where they can download the formula. They can download it. I have an Excel spreadsheet for it, and they could just take it, plug in their own numbers, and see what happens.
And that's a lead magnet.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
You're adding value.
Yeah. Providing value and not just not just asking them to give us money.
Yeah.
So.
It's a great topic. It's very salient right now as prices are going up for things, and we're all of our budgets, we're going to have to be justifying. Everybody's in the same boat. We're coming into the fall, which is typically a budget for 2023 now, depending on when you're listening to this. And This is important stuff.
Yep, absolutely. So I think we've taken enough time, don't you think?
I think we have. This is it. This is it. Very straightforward and simple, Steve.
That's Steve.
Yep.
And someone who listened to this came away with a tangible piece of advice and value. That's our goal for these.
Yep.
So we're happy to do that.
Any last words, MJ?
No, I mean, I think this is just inbound marketing in its purest form, and it's the direction that marketing's headed. So I know we mentioned this on, I think, every podcast so far that you've had me on as a guest, but if you're not doing this now, it's not too late. You better get started on it soon.
Yeah, exactly right.
There you go.
All right, Mr.
now.
Boyce.
Okay. You have been listening to the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast with Dave Loomis and Steve Miller and MJ. Yeah. Something else. What?
No, I was just pointing at her.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha. Yes. You're. Hey, everybody. This has been great.
We're done.
Thank you. We're finished. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast, the source for B2B marketing and sales insight. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe and leave these old guys a 5-star rating. Check the show notes for any links and contact information. You can always contact us by going to b2bmarketingsalespodcast.com. Thank you, and keep on marketing. Keep on selling.